Welcome to I'd Print That. I'm Andrew.
I'm Joe. And this week, we're going to take a little break on the 3D printing as far as what we're printing, maintenance issues. I'm going to cut straight into some news items.
Yeah.
We've seen a few things this week. Kind of a slow week for 3D printing for us. We're getting our systems configured up. I'm ordering a new machine, so in the next week or two, I'm going to be building that. And we will start talking about printers once my new box is built. I'll have some videos probably, and at least photos of the build process of that new box.
We don't want this podcast to be more so bad talking our printers and problems. We want it to be intuitive for printing.
We're encountering an issue that a lot of people get when they only have one 3D printer. If a machine breaks or is kind of, needing a little bit of TLC and you don't have a whole lot of time to sit down and give it the attention it needs, you can be without printing for a little while. That's the reason why I'm looking at a new printer. I'm actually considering a Prusa, little i3 that I'm going to be getting from Amazon. I should have that, if all goes well, on the 17th, so it'll be Wednesday, and then I will start building that guy. It's probably going to take about 2.5 days to build. So
yeah, and you're ordering a kit, full kit.
It is a full kit, do it myself, build it type kit. So,
and there's a lot of kits out there where you buy the hardware, the 20x20 extrusion if it's using that, the MDF or the laser cut acrylic, and then you print the printed parts. This is a full kit. It does have printed parts in it because it is a rep wrap.
I think it only has a few printed parts that they include, but it's pretty much all laser cut acrylic, black acrylic, and has dual extruders. Past that, I think there's only like 3 pieces that are printed.
Yeah. So we're excited. I'm excited for Joe to get into a large format printer. I'm looking at, from Open Builds, the C-Bot. It's a Core XY printer, so meaning that your Z-axis moves up and down rather than the gantry on their Prusas. Because on the Prusas, your X and Z are on the gantry, so the actual extruder moves up and down, and you get your left to right if you're facing the printer, and your print bed does the front to back as your Y. The C-Bots are a lot like the Ultimaker style.
And the DaVinci style.
And the DaVinci, FlashForge, MakerBot. Most of those enclosable 4-post style printers.
Right.
And actually, Joe and I were talking about it before we even started the podcast, why I'm of the mindset of I like how rigid those 4-post style printers are. They're easy to enclose. And that's just my mindset. That's what I want to do. The Prusas are just fine. They're great. I've seen a lot of cool videos on. Actually, Joe is the one he's looking at, the kit. Good speed, good everything, good resolution.
And got some pretty good reviews on them. It's nice that it's a rep machine, meaning it's open sourced. It's had a lot of people really look at it and put their feedback into designing it. People have built it. So it's not just like a one-off. This has really had a lot of attention and focus on it. So this company has decided they're just going to gather all the parts, put it in a box, and send it to somebody with instructions on how to assemble.
And one thing to keep in mind, I know we've touched on it in previous podcasts, even just printing a file, I always, and Joe as well, we try to make sure that somebody has successfully printed that file to make it worth your time. And just like these, there's so many builds out there. I mean, you go check out openbuilds.com, you check out reprap.com. There's a lot of concepts out there.
Right.
And it's really hard. I mean, even for me and also Joe, being where we are in the hobby, I am not in the place or position to pioneer a build myself. I don't honestly have the time. We're both very busy with work. I'm busy with kids, home life, as is Joe.
Well, my goal is I do want to actually eventually, design and build my own printer from ground up.
Oh, yeah, me
but
too.
I feel that this kit is my doorway into that realm. Once I assemble the machine, I will know what it takes, what kind of time it takes, the hardware it takes, and then I can figure out, okay, I like this, I want to keep this part of this aspect of this design, or you know what, I really wish this was different.
Yeah, and that's the neat thing about a rep wrap is, I mean, for the most part, and we said it in the last podcast, printers are dumb.
Right.
It doesn't know what it's doing. It's all it's getting told is you can go this far, you can go that far, and you can go this high.
Right.
And put material here, here, and here.
Yep.
It doesn't know how big it is. It doesn't know its end stops. It's easy to configure.
Yeah, it's only as big as it's programmed.
Yeah. So yeah, they're really easy to configure. I don't know about the Prusas, but I know the C-Bot that I'm looking at is completely scalable. All it is parts. You lengthen your extrusion. This one does use 20 by 20 V-slot extrusion, and you just lengthen them. You do run into problems in sag. You wouldn't think that you're going to have a lot of sag in a piece of metal, but if you really get down to it, and the tolerances that we're working in, a millimeter of sag is a lot.
Not even a millimeter.
Yeah.
You have half a millimeter, quarter millimeter. That little sag in the middle, that little bow, over time is going to be noticeable.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right away even. But I mean, there's always ways around it. You can always reinforce the frame. When I still have it on the back burner, but it's been moved even further back. The Vulcanus Max, the big 40 by 40 large format printer. I'd love to build one. I figured it out. It's just over 50 feet of extrusion.
Right.
That's going to cost me $200 because I can't find it under $1 a foot. Even on Alibaba, I could, but the shipping from Germany is the cheapest place I found it was actually Germany. Funny enough, it wasn't from China. But shipping on it was more than it was going to cost to purchase the product.
Right. Well, it's like the printer I found, I could get it on Amazon or get it directly from the manufacturer. On Amazon, the price is $110 more than on the manufacturer, but if I want to buy it from the manufacturer with registered post, it's going to cost about 1.5 times the printer.
Yeah, well, it was like
$430, and the printer itself was $340.
Yeah,
so
customs.
I'm getting it from Amazon
to get here.
What's that?
And it'd probably take about 2 months to get here.
Yeah, they said March. So I am going to get it from Amazon and have it here middle of next week.
And then you run into the beauty of Amazon returns if you have any problem. You don't have to. Not saying that Gretech, who builds these kits, is a bad company because I know nothing about them. But Amazon does not question. You say this isn't how I ordered it, they take it back.
This is actually a life lesson. I was looking at buying a little micro Android PC, little high 802. It has a HDMI port on it. You plug it into a TV, and you have a computer. Yep. I could not get the thing. It worked, but the video would glitch out, and it would lock up. And I had to reboot it, and it would glitch out and lock up. Constantly going through this stuff. Went through everything with their support, which was in China. So there's a language barrier there for one.
Inherently awesome.
Tried updating firmware, doing all this stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I want my money back. And they're like, go ahead and send it back to us. I said, okay.
On your dime.
I was able to see it leave the U.S. They said, we didn't get it.
Perfect.
And we're not going to pay you for it. So thankfully I was able to contact my bank, and my bank looked into it, gave them all my info, and they refunded my money.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said for, the giant that Amazon is, but their return policy is amazing.
Buyer beware. It's especially when buying overseas. If you have to return it, it can be very, very expensive. Do your research ahead of time.
And really, if you're looking to get into a printer, there is a lot of cheap kits that will not produce good prints out there.
Right.
Like you go to Alibaba and you check out, I can buy a printer for $150. This is perfect. and then you get it. And I think this is a lot of what's happening to 3D printing on desktop printing is people are buying these cheap kits because they want to get into it and they're scared about spending a little bit of money, which I completely understand. Yeah. But you're buying this subpar machine that will not produce a good print, and you're turned off by it.
Right.
I mean, there's a wealth of information, and YouTube is a perfect example. I mean, you Google whatever printer it is, click on videos, there's bound to be something about it.
Yep.
Granted, a lot of it may be the manufacturer trying to show you their amazing machine, but there's bound to be someone that, I mean, even just the unboxing video or anything like that. I mean, you can look at an unboxing video, and if they're going, oh, well, the parts list isn't even here, I would look into it.
And there's a... When I was looking at buying this machine, this 3D printer kit, I actually was able to find somebody who had posted a time lapse of assembly, and yeah, it took about 3 days. You can see where he changed his clothes, and it took hours and hours and hours to get assembled. I plan on beating that time because I'm very methodical and
more mechanically inclined, and we both have a good solid knowledge of printing and what goes into them and what's about them. Granted, neither of us have built one yet. Both my printers and Joe's printer is out of the box, ready to run, so to say. But definitely do, if you're going to get into printing and you're going to buy a kit printer, take your time.
Yeah, do your research.
Do your research, take your time. Follow a time-lapse video. It takes nothing to set a laptop next to you and, okay, well, I'll watch this part, pause it, do that part.
The time lapse that I saw, it was about 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
So it was really fast time lapse. I watched it more to just see what it took.
Yeah.
Not for like step-by-step follow along, just to go, okay, he's assembling the print bed here. There are the smooth rods. There's the driver motor. There's the belt. Okay. And just kind of get a rough idea of what it takes.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, there's check out Amazon if you're looking to get into a kit printer. If you've got a printer that you can print parts effectively, check out Open Builds. The Core X and Y bot that I'm looking at making, the C bot, the bill of materials is sub $200.
Yeah,
and it's a good looking little printer. Many people have made it. There's an entire forum just on this printer, and there's people on there saying, well, this worked, I changed this. One of my big ones is I'm going to be adding a dual extruder to it. So there's bound to be someone that added a dual extruder, and this is what they bought. Through Open Builds, you can download the full bill of materials as an Excel file. It gives you their first source of buying the part and a second source for buying the parts.
And a cost, what the part should cost.
Yeah.
And it's probably not going to be exact.
No.
But it's going to be close.
Yeah. And so you'll have a good base point to judge, okay, well, these guys have inflated their price because 3D printing has become a big thing all of a sudden, and all of a sudden people want this 20 by 20 extrusion a bunch, which I doubt was generally used much before.
Right.
But yeah, check them out, openbuilds.com. They're a great site. And even if you're not trying to build a printer, just check them out and read the forums, skim through them, lurk a little bit, and you'll learn.
Yeah, and questions, you can get your questions answered.
Yeah, definitely. Never be afraid to join a community, an online community, and ask questions. Break yourself out of the shell and just start posting stuff. I mean, I generally don't. The first time I posted on the M3D forums was in a little bit of a retort to a guy that had responded to one of Joe's posts about printing, and I said, you know what? No, I'm calling you out on this one. There's no reason for any of this.
Right.
But yeah, that's about it, printer-wise.
Well, kind of going back to here a few moments ago about printing 3D files. Mm-hmm. And it's an interesting piece of news where there's some big print companies that want to change the existing 3D file format.
And that's a .stl.
Right, or OBJ, either stereolithograph or object file. Large businesses with a stake in the global 3D printing market want to see better growth. And to do this, they're saying that we need a new file format for 3D print data. The 3MF Consortium, which is an industry partnership formed by Stratasys 3D Systems, Autodesk, HP, Siemens, and a handful of other companies, including the research wing of General Electric, have come together to work towards the goal of finding a better and widely available 3D printing file format. The new 3D manufacturing format is a file format originally developed by Microsoft, which is also a member of the new consortium.
Oh, perfect.
So currently, data is passed, as we've explained, from the computer to 3D printer is either an STL or OBJ file. And they feel that that is outdated and clunky, and they have interoperability issues when used by some of the new 3D printers. They feel that those formats are precipitating 3D printing failures.
Mm-hmm. I've had quite a few problems with some files that just won't print for me. Doesn't matter what slicer I put them in. It could just be the STL got corrupt when it got uploaded,
or somebody didn't go through and actually verify that the STL, when they exported it from their CAD software, didn't have any issues with their intersections, or it wasn't a solid.
It wasn't manifold.
Yeah.
When we say manifold, it's a manifold is watertight.
Right.
It's a completely closed model that it doesn't have any open faces that are just out there in the air.
Right. And that's one thing you'll find also if you work with SketchUp. When you run your finishing plugins, there's an inside and an outside to your faces. Mm-hmm. And if you have the wrong side facing the wrong direction, it'll think you're trying to build this hollow item with everything extruded on the outside versus this nice, intricate, detailed object that is filled on the inside. Mm-hmm. And that's where the 3MF comes in. It's a XML-based open format. The new file format could contain information on the texture of a 3D print, the color of the print, and other complex characteristics like the material that it's being made in. If you've been around for some time and you've followed the technology for a while, this may sound familiar, and that's because it is the AMF, or Additive Manufacturing File Format, which has been around since 2011, which solves many of the issues with STL files, such as, like I was saying, the information on materials, the model's orientation and position, textures, colors, substructures, and even multi-material geometries. 3MF and AMF are both rather similar file formats. Big difference, though, is the 3MF appears to want to go farther. The idea is that 3MF would be compatible across printers, including ones promised to come out to the market later this year, like the Multi-Jet Fusion 3D printer from HP. It could potentially support older STL files, so the transition from an old to a new file won't be as bumpy. So it's not going to be you get a new printer and you got the Thingiverse and it's like, hey, get stuffed. I'm not printing that old file.
Yeah.
It'll say, great, I'll print that, but I'll also print these new files also. Then there's also talk that it could support machines like CNC mills and laser cutters, which are tools of subtractive manufacturing that 3D printing experts say are complementary, not incompatible with additive manufacturing. So it'd be kind of awesome to be able to take your one file, bring it to a business like a makerspace or hackerspace, or someone else locally that has a laser cutter, plasma cutter, or CNC machine, and say, hey, make this for me. Mm-hmm. And one file does it all.
One file to rule them all.
Exactly. Part of the reason that Microsoft got behind this is there's a ton of 2D printers out there. Yeah. If there wasn't a single language that those guys spoke in, it'd be chaos. Mm-hmm. And they want to improve that for 3D printing by making this new 3MF file. And when I first started reading the article, I was a little skeptical because it really had an air of closed format to it. I'm happy to see that this is, being based on XML and is a open file format rather than most companies want to take it and
make it all proprietary.
Make it proprietary.
And that's what the 3D printing, especially the RepRap community, thrives on being open.
Oh, same thing with the open builds community.
Yeah, that's the only reason it is thriving. And it's just, I'm glad to see that companies are realizing that this proprietary standpoint will not work.
I totally agree. We talked back in episode 1, I believe, where 3D Systems was pulling their Cubify printer off the market, and I just saw where they had posted their earnings. They actually made more money than they had expected by a decent amount. I mean, it wasn't like leaps and bounds more, but they didn't expect to have the low numbers that they did. They were, I think, lower than expected, but not by a lot.
Yeah.
I don't have the figures in front of me, but I do know that it wasn't as bad as they had hoped. And 3D Systems is one of the partners in this 3MF consortium.
Which is glad to see, because one major downfall of the Cubify, and that was going to really affect people that owned a Cubify, was they're very proprietary.
Yep.
Their filament is proprietary to that machine.
Yeah, there's no way to reset their cartridges like you can do with the DaVincis.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Oh, don't say that. We don't do that. Oh, yes, we do. It's okay. Proprietary sucks.
Yes.
And,
yeah.
I mean,
Don't
fall victim to it.
Yeah, don't get wrapped up into proprietary systems.
I mean, if you're a, so to say, one road, never turn, and you want to use this and that's it, that's great. And that's the person you are. Awesome. Do what you need to do. Do your thing. I cannot stand it. My DaVinci was proprietary. Their filament is lacking, to say the least. I mean, I have a part that I had my Stormtrooper shift knob.
Mm-hmm.
You can ran out of one filament. I had to pause the print, add the filament. The only other white I had on me in ABS was a remnant of an XYZ spool, and it's night and day. And it's not that these spools were sitting out in the weather or whatever. They were sitting in a vacuum packed bag with a silica desiccant packet in the bag with it. And they'd been sitting for like a month.
Yeah, there's definitely, you can see the difference in the print quality of the filaments.
Oh, it's night and day. It's horrible, the difference, because the filament I was using was some of that test filament from YS.
Speaking of filaments, if you haven't seen it, you can go out to filament1.com/samples, and they have 1 cent samples. It's always good if you can get hold of them, get a sample of filament. Not all filament is made the same, and with a 1 cent sample and free shipping, it's hard to go wrong.
Yeah,
we got 7 cents. We have 7 different filaments, 4 wood fills, some ABS, some PLA, and even flex fill coming.
And we're not certain on the size of the samples at this point, but who cares? It was 7 cents total.
Yeah, and it could be a little small hand wrap. It could be a 1/4 kilogram. Mm-hmm. Who knows? But it at least allows us to see if this company is worth their salt, and we can run it through the printers, make sure that it prints and extrudes well, make sure we don't get any nozzle jams or clogs, and see how it goes. And if it's worth it, then I'd buy some if it had the right price.
Seemed like a good company. They're U.S. based company out of New Mexico.
They had 4 wood fills. One was cinnamon, one was rosewood. I don't remember the other 2.
Wood or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Joe and I, right before we did the podcast, we literally sat here and ordered each of one of their sample filaments that they have for a penny, and I'd love to check it out. Can't wait to see it. Filament 1, if you hear this, Send us more. We'll test all your filaments out.
Absolutely. We would like to, or anybody else, we would like to get some samples and do some testing
and give an honest, unbiased review. That's one thing I will say that Joe and I will never do is endorse your product if we don't like it. And it's not to say we don't like it. If it doesn't perform, our plan is to help people in 3D printing. I'm not going to say, oh, their stuff is great. I can't get it to print under my breath, but it's great. No, we will never do that. It'll be a very honest, unbiased review of any materials, printers, materials, tech things, anything.
Yeah.
We will do it all.
But we won't do that.
Oh. There's where you're setting the boundaries? Okay. Here's a cool one.
All right.
That tickles my fancy in a couple different ways. Thermaltake. Their new PC design.
Right. They have a new computer case that they're being released. Thermaltake has been around for a long time. They make they started off with just heat sinks and heatsink fan combinations for CPUs. They've later expanded into other types of PC cooling, like heat spreaders for RAM.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got into power supplies, and I've seen cases. I believe they even got peripherals, keyboards, and mice now. But they have a new case that's coming out.
Modular case.
It is. And I believe it's already released, and it is designed to be modded by those people with a 3D printer.
Mm-hmm.
What they do is they are providing a set of models that fit the new case, and those are hosted on a website similar to Thingiverse. So if you basically want a single solid state drive, or if you want a whole rack, you download the model, you print it, and poof, you've got what you need. If you want, if you have water cooling, you need parts for that. Same thing. There's a model for it. Download, print it. I just don't know why they're doing this. Is it a potential way of cutting their manufacturing costs, or are they trying to crowdsource design and engineering talent for no cost?
I don't think that's part of it. I think a big part of it is this is way out of the box for any computer case company.
I think so too. I think it's a great way of empowering their users by providing them with a computer case that they can do what they want with.
Yeah.
They're saying, oh, here it is, here's the base models, and the nice thing about 3D models is if you're
can edit 'em.
I really wish it was a little more like this, you can take it, open it up in your CAD software, SketchUp, Tinkercad, and edit it, and you have one that's custom tailored to what you want.
Mm-hmm. I mean, how many times have you really I've modded a couple computer cases just to make it look cool, but you have this, so to say, in the box design that's the base of every computer case.
When I got into modding, I modded my first computer in 2000.
Get ready, folks. It's going to be a long time ago.
I know, yeah. It's back in the dawn of time. No, it was the early 2000s. I think it was 2002. Yeah, around about 2002. I had a Lee & Lee
love their cases.
Aluminum case. It's actually sitting right there behind you.
I have the same one.
Yep. Yeah, it's a great case, and I bought the case. I cut a window in the side of it, so it has a nice plexi window. I had put a cold cathode black light in there. I took my CPU fan apart, which was a Thermaltake fan, pulled the fan apart, painted the blades a nice neon green. I found a nice little trick where you could take highlighter, and if you run a highlighter down the edge of your PC boards, it'll glow also and give it a nice green glow. Yeah, it's just regular yellow highlighter. It has a nice luminescent quality under black light. So I did that. I ran cable sleeving over everything, which that was kind of difficult to find back in the day because not a lot of places sold it for...
Well, especially that was previous to modular power supplies.
No, I actually got a modular power supply for that. I got
Okay.
one of the first modulars for it.
Millions of dollars.
Oh, dude, it wasn't cheap, but I had a 120 millimeter fan in the top of it.
Holy cow.
What else?
Which is industry standard anymore, but
right,
back
but
then that was like...
Yeah, you normally got 80 millimeter fans.
Even 40s.
40s were a little small, but those could have been case fans. Most power supply or most CPUs came with 80s, and power supplies came with 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I changed out the front LEDs, so I had a blue power LED and a white hard drive LED rather than your red and your green.
Breaking the mold there.
I know, right? So I kind of jumped in feet first into this, and I think this is going to take modding of PCs to a whole new level.
Yeah, and it's not you get what they produce, and that's it. And you want this really cool custom case. I remember when acrylic cases became a thing. Clear cases, and you can see the whole workings of a PC.
That was...
Holy monkey.
Yeah, that was about the time I bought that Lee & Lee case.
Yeah.
It's a PC60, I think is what I got, or PC80.
But I mean, even up to this point, even up to since Thermaltake has brought this to the market, you still only get what they produce. With this, you can get what you want. You can make it the way you want it. Just recently, I had to print a SSD cassette that'll fit into my hard drive bay for my SSD to just have a place to sit in my case, because SSDs just recently became a thing that's off your motherboard, that doesn't plug into a PCIe slot.
Mm-hmm.
But that was cool because I was able to print a piece to make it work. I'm really excited to see this, and I'm really excited to see more companies jump on this bandwagon of editable products.
Yes.
We'll give you the base, you make it the way you want it. Actually, funny enough, just a little off-topic thing, today I went to a store, big box store, not naming names. I bought a couple essential oil diffusers for the kids' rooms, and they have this little top part that has a very wide slit in it for the cool mist to come out.
Right.
And I plugged it in and it was working, and it was so wide that the mist would just kind of come out and come straight down.
Right.
When you really want that to go up into the air to get into the whole room.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I thought of was, well, I'm gonna print myself a new cap with a much smaller opening.
I'm gonna print one of those,
and then I'm gonna angle it up because this one angles straight out, and I'm gonna angle the nozzle up so it'll put the diffusion straight into the air for my kid's room, help them sleep. But yeah, I mean, that's where we're at now in 3D printing, is we have to come up with it ourselves. We see a product and we edit it and
right.
we make it the way we want it. I'm really going to be intrigued to see if other companies are going to see this, and if this takes off, they're going to go, here's their base product. If you have a 3D printer, you can do this. If you don't, that's fine. We'll sell you the kit to do it the way we designed it.
Right.
So this is cool.
Yeah. The accessories is going to be more of an option in the future, I think.
Yeah. Really, really happy to see it.
So you get your base unit at a reduced cost. If you want the actual accessories kit, you're going to spend a few more bucks. Otherwise, print it yourself.
Mm-hmm. Big thing I hope to see, and as we spoke in the previous subject, was it being free.
Yes.
Because, I mean, you've already made the investment of a 3D printer. You've already spent the time, money, and everything. I would really be discouraged to see companies going, well, we'll sell you the files.
And at that point, I don't know why somebody wouldn't just buy the stupid accessories kit.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to sell me the files, but I've already bought the printer and I'm doing the manufacturing and I'm spending the time myself to do it, there'd be no benefit
which is fine for us, because if we don't want to buy it, we'll just design it ourselves. And
right.
And I say the royal us, speaking to everybody that designs their own projects, But someone that has a desktop printer that got out of the box and they like to go to Thingiverse, download a file, print it, and they're happy, that won't work for them.
No. No. So speaking of box stores, I went to a box store today also. I went to Costco. I had an interesting time at Costco. Costco can be...
It's a step up from Walmart.
It can be frustrating. But have you noticed sometimes when you're in the stores, there are people in there that are like tourists? Like, it's a whole new alien civilization to them.
Oh, yeah.
They'll walk around, mouth open, just staring at things. And I saw a family today. It was hilarious. They were standing there in the middle of the aisle, and they were pointing at this bag going, "Coconut chips!" And they were having a personal moment over coconut chips. It was like it was new, a foreign concept to them, and it was a bag of coconut chips. It's funny to walk into these places and see the reactions of people. It's like who seem to have never ever left their house.
Oh, they're like chickens. They step outside. It's a whole new world.
Oh, dude, seriously. Yeah, don't go outside and look up in the rain, okay? You'll drown and die.
Don't do it. Don't do it. You have so much to live for.
Just really, really weird.
Dude, people watching is one of my number one hobbies.
Oh, mine too. I used to do it in high school. I would sit there during my senior year. One of the lunch ladies brought in a jukebox.
Uh-oh.
And, she had actual recent music. It wasn't anything like...
Well, recent when Joe was in high school, so...
We're talking...
doo-wop and that
yeah,
kind of
yeah, fuck you. We're talking midnight. We're talking like this was a mid-90s. So, Nirvana was still a big thing. Snow Informer was out at the time. And I would show up every morning. I'd have a couple of quarters in my hand. And I'd play either an AC/DC song or a Nirvana song or something else. And I would play Informer by Snow. This was the most hated song.
Some people just like to watch the world burn.
I did like to watch the world burn. I'd pick two songs, and I'd just go over and I'd sit on one of the heaters or someplace where my friends are, and, first song would kick on, and, generally songs would be queued up for a while, so they didn't know when it was coming. But when Informer started playing, I thought riots were going to break out. I just got immense joy out of it. Yeah. It was fun.
You're a sick person.
And? It comes down to people watching a person's reaction to something that they don't like. People react very differently.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny to watch people react when they don't think people are watching.
Yeah.
I worked for the city Joe and I live in. I worked for the city as a construction guy. You see the worst of people when they think no one's around.
Yeah.
I watched a lady go totally AWOL on a garbage can.
Just lose her mind, huh?
She just lost it. I mean, we were standing, I was maybe a quarter of a block away. We were doing an asphalt patch. And she went out to get a garbage can, and she lost it completely. And there's 10 guys.
For no apparent reason?
No apparent reason. And we completely stopped. We stopped the paver. We stopped everything. And I went, and we just stood there. I mean, it was like the typical city workers holding up a shovel. But we just all stood there and watched her. And she finally figured out that she wasn't alone. And and it was funny because, so me... If that were to happen to me, because I'm really good at laughing at myself.
Uh-huh.
If I didn't, I'd probably be dead. But if it were me, I'd be like, this stupid thing is talking back. And no, she just turned heel and straight back to the house.
Yeah, I've probably been caught in a couple of really odd situations. People have walked in the middle of something, or while I've been doing things.
G-rated.
Not that type of things. And I could be complaining at my computer, swearing at it, or out in the garage trying to make something and be like, "Why you no work?" banging on something with a hammer just because I'm irritated and want to take it out on something.
Oh, if somebody came to my house and I was playing Call of Duty with my headphones on and I didn't know they were there, they'd probably call the cops on me.
You back swearing at 12-year-olds over Xbox again?
No, it's PC Master Race. But no, the funny part is listening to those 12-year-olds talk. It's like, holy cow, I'm 28 and I don't even talk that bad. I don't even put those words together because it's the back of the little gremlin in the back of my head goes, don't say that. People don't like it when you say stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Speaking of gaming, one of the games we play is Rocket League.
Rocket League.
I just saw Rocket League is coming to Xbox One.
Yep, and PlayStation.
PlayStation's already had
on
it.
PlayStation.
Yep.
Yeah.
PlayStation had it and PC had it. Those were the first ones that came out on, and now Xbox is going to get it.
And the matchmaking is cross-platform.
Correct. Yeah. So there's times when Andrew and I are out playing a Rocket League, and now actually it's been Andrew, myself, and a buddy of ours, Travis, who are playing, and we would have PS4 guys join up with us. So it was definitely a new experience for me because I had never actually been in a game that is cross-platform compatible.
It's awesome. I love that somebody finally went, we should probably allow this to happen because console gaming is fine. I always say PC Master Race. I sold my Xbox.
He just couldn't. It was too much power for him.
It was way too much power. Yes, my tower that could blow the doors off any console and do other things too.
My console can do other things.
It can, but not like my PC can. It's just not the same. Anyway, there's been many games that I've wanted to be able to play. Joe and I, he plays console a lot more than he does PC. And there's been a few games where I'm like, oh yeah, let's play this. And he goes, oh, we're buying it on console. That's fine.
Battlefront.
Star Wars Battlefront. Yep. And it would be just cool that, it's been proven by Joe, number one, and a lot of people that keyboard and mouse FPS players are head and shoulders above console controller players just because you have the twitch movement from a mouse and customize macros, which are kind of frowned upon, but people still use them.
Yeah.
But it would still be fun to be able to play with friends, even though they made the decision to buy a console for whatever reason. They make bad life decisions and didn't play on PC.
Well, there's third-party pieces of hardware that you can buy, like XIM, the Xbox input machine. It's actually, I think, manufactured and designed by a guy out of Oregon. And I actually got one of them, the XIM 3 for the 360, which allows you to use a keyboard and mouse on your Xbox. It worked great. Took some setting up. It wasn't just a plug-and-play device. You need a wire, or at least previously you were required to have a wired controller plus your keyboard plus your mouse, and so you had all of these wires coming out of this thing and coming from your Xbox, but you could have that Twitch gaming experience. It's just programming it was very daunting. I used it for a while, and by the time that I got it set up, I was using the thumbsticks on my shooters, and I adapted faster than I could program this thing. But there are those things out there, and I think he's in his second revision after the one that I got, and reading over the specs, by this point. Yeah, they're pretty plug and play anymore. They don't require a whole lot of tweaking on them, so it's just key mapping at that point.
Yeah, and not saying that off the cuff as a console gamer you're at a disadvantage. Just the only reason it is not skill, it's the availability of the mouse and the range of movement you get with the mouse. And if you've done any PC gaming, my left hand, when it touches a keyboard, sits on WASD. no matter what. That's where my fingers land.
Yep.
And you just have all those buttons that your whole left hand can touch all at once. Not, you've got to reach around the back of the controller to hit this button, you've got to do this. And there's a lot of console gamers that are that good and could probably give a keyboard and mouse player a run for their money.
Yeah, and it's like with any first-person shooter. When you first get into it, you're going to fumble around. You're going to die a lot. There's a definite learning curve that comes with first-person shooters.
And muscle memory is a big deal with first-person shooters.
Once you develop it, be it console or PC Master Race, you can pretty much go head-to-head with any keyboard mouser or console person. Mm-hmm. So why they haven't made that cross-platform availability a thing is beyond me. The only thing that I can think of is it comes down to money. Xbox wants their PlayStation. They both want to charge for their online services, whereas
Steam, you play the game and it's yours. You play.
Yeah, Steam, or if you just run to your local, game shop, be it Hastings or Best Buy or Amazon
that place that shall not be named.
GameSlop or anywhere else.
Oh, sorry. Did he say that?
If you go there, you buy the game outright. They have matchmaking built into those games, and those matchmaking services are also compatible with those that are on Steam.
Well, and the sad part is, I say sad because I am a PC guy, PC gamer. Most PC games anymore are ports from the consoles.
Right.
I know Fallout 4 had all kinds of issues on PC because it was a console port.
Right.
And it's not, console, you have the console. There's no variation.
Especially with the Call of Duty series.
Mm-hmm.
They have admitted, yes, they take and design it on the console and then they port it to the PC. However, I've read an article recently where they say that they're not going to do that on the next one.
I hope so, because I've been a Call of Duty gamer forever. I still have bought and played, even though I hated a bunch of them. I still bought and played them because I like Call of Duty. I like the game. I like the gameplay. I generally don't play the single player. I play the multiplayer only. But they have been, for lack of a better term, pooping on the PC side of it.
Right.
Like, you go and you pre-order it from GameStop,
mm-hmm.
and you get the custom maps and everything, which you still get on the PC, but the custom guns, they're generally for Xbox and PS4 only.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, I pre-ordered the game because I wanted the game and I was going to pre-order regardless, but it'd be cool to get that perk, but I don't get it.
Right.
I think it was Ghosts. Mm-hmm. Ghosts had it was an online portion, and you could look at your clans, you could look at this, you could look at that. None of it worked for PC.
Oh, they're like Battlelog or whatever it is?
Yeah.
That's what Battlelog is,
Battlefield.
Battlefield, but they're equivalent to that.
And they had a very similar thing, which was cool, and, I don't care.
See, that kind of goes to part of my reasoning why I like the Battlefield series over the Call of Duty series, is Battlefield to me still feels like a PC game.
Mm-hmm.
Large maps, great environments, whereas Call of Duty feels very console confined. Small maps.
Mm-hmm. Very, very fast-paced gameplay.
Yeah.
SMGs rule the game. I remember back, because a lot of older gamers
mm-hmm.
are snipers. They like the tactical standpoint. They like that they'll find a spot. You got to find me and kill me. Yes, quotey fingers, and I just did that. Camper. Sorry, but if I can sit in a spot and kill you the whole game and you know where I'm at, that's your problem, not mine.
When I was doing first-person shooters back in the day, we were talking, Quake 2. No, not even Quake 2. Actually, the first Quake.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was my big first-person shooter that I played online
mm-hmm.
through ArenaNet or whatever the hell it was. M-Player. And, I was able to find matches where I could play Capture the Flag or other modded versions of Quake. These maps were pretty decent sized. Mm-hmm. They had great gameplay, and that's just kind of where where I started with it, and those maps are kind of what I'm used to when I play a PC game.
Mm-hmm.
If I play a first-person shooter, I really want that feel. Soldier of Fortune 2 was another big one. Had decent-sized maps. A lot of fun gameplay within that. And then I don't know. It's just once I got in the newer Call of Duty games, not like the World War II Call of Duties, the more modern ones.
Yeah, they kind of broke it with Modern Warfare 2.
Right. And I've played. I think I played Modern Warfare 3. Yeah, I think it was Modern Warfare 3 was the one that I got into, and it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like an actual first-person shooter. It was more like an arena game.
Yeah, and it's come down to spawn, kill a couple guys, die. Spawn, kill a couple guys, die. And it's just this fast-paced,
it's a rinse,
bam,
repeat.
bam, 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 bam. And when I say being an older style gamer, where we like tactical, we like as lifelike as possible. I mean, I want to be able to take a shot to the knee,
right,
and continue.
And in Call of Duty games, if you're hit below the waist, you die. And it feels like if somebody shoots you in the foot, you're dead. That's it.
Anymore, they've come to SMGs, submachine guns. They're popping me from across the map and killing me.
What?
And it's like, granted, yeah, I'm getting older and I don't have the reaction time that I used to. Younger gamers are going to be able to outdo me anytime.
Right.
But come on, let's make this realistic. I'm not going to run around with an MP5 and knock out a Green Beret sniper.
No.
He's going to shoot me in the foot before I even know what happens.
Yep.
And I don't know. They've lost a lot of that. Just like any game, any classic hardcore game. WoW, the older Call of Duties, Medal of Honor. That was a fun game I played on PS1. They died or kowtowed to the newer gaming community, right, which I understand why they have to stay alive.
Right. And that might be why they keep things the way they do. They're trying to attract these newer gamers, and they're looking at the older community going, well, we know we have you. You're going to buy this anyway, but we're making this for
little Jimmy.
Newbie Ned.
Yeah. It's sad to see, but you said it right. We have you, and we know you're going to buy the game anyway because you like the game.
Right.
And that's what I do. I buy every Call of Duty when it comes out.
Yep. That's unfortunately that's big business.
Oh, it is. It's sad to see.
Yep. So, anything else you got going on?
Not really. Still playing a lot of Diablo.
Mm-hmm.
Working on getting. I made a second barbarian, and I've got her geared. Her name's Single Lady. Also, I'll put out there if anybody wants to check it out, my BattleNet profile. So you can go on and check out my seasoned characters. It's Frosty, Frostie, number 1795. And we'll also put it on the blog so you can check it out.
Yep.
And I made her to do the 0 DPS support barbarian for Force, doing pushing high grader rifts and fours. Pretty much unkillable to an extent. And you pull mobs into the uber-powered wizard and crusader that are topping the DPS charts at the moment. Not at the moment, for the rest of the season, because they don't change anything like that during a season, because it would break the leaderboards. But other than that, I'm at the grindy part of Diablo now. I've got my gear. Now I just need materials to re-roll some gear. I need to get my set pieces, ancients. Not so much. I've lost some interest. I'm not playing 6 and 7 hours a night anymore. I'm still having fun. Still playing a bunch. Joe's got his tune.
Yep. If you want to check mine out, my profile for BattleNet is OMG Gnomes 1175.
And that's gnomes as gnomes.
Yep. Gnomes, OMG Gnomes 1175. And I've got a Crusader that I'm doing a Thorns build with. You say yours is pretty much unstoppable or unkillable. I have had instances where I have been in Torment 8 Nephilim Rifts in boss fights, and I had to walk away from my computer in the middle of a fight, and I would come back and my guy is still alive, just being hammered on. And
yeah, that Thorns build's pretty nuts.
When
I say unkillable for my ZDPS Barb, she just has a toughness as one of the main stats for living, fully buffed, and it's literally gear I've thrown together as through running the hundreds of Nephilims and greater rifts that I ran through on my charge barbarian. I just kind of thrown it in the bank, going, I'm going to make this some point, and I went, okay, I have all the things. I'll throw all the things on this one, and she's at like 175 million toughness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sitting. I don't have all of my gear yet. I'm still missing an amulet. I'm still missing a shield. I still need to rank up my gems, and I probably gotta try for a better roll on. Oh no, I did re-roll my ring.
Are you using Focus and Restraint, or are you using Justice Lantern and something else?
I'm using Justice Lantern and a Compass Rose.
Okay.
And then I'm taking Traveler's Pledge for my neck piece.
Mm-hmm.
That gives me that 2-piece set bonus.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that. Having fun with Diablo. For the most part, anymore, breaking the top 1,000 is still kind of a dream for me for this season. I say dream because I'm just broke 500 Paragon.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to be in at least the 800 to 900 Paragon. And at the moment, just to gain a Paragon point, 2 billion experience. Granted, I can get about a Paragon per Greater Rift, but that's a Paragon per Greater Rift at 45.
I'm still at the point right now. I'm in the 300s Paragon right now, 310, 312, somewhere around there. And I can still get, if I'm soloing like a tier 8, I can get a couple, 2, maybe 3 per.
Yeah, then you will.
And that's just going through and finding, the blues and yellows to go kill. I don't waste time on white trash.
Whoa. Whoa.
I go straight for the goodies.
White lives matter, Joe.
Watch it.
I mean white mobs, just saying.
There we go.
But yeah, it's fun. It for me anymore, like I said, WoW kind of broke me for hardcore gaming.
Yeah.
And I've hit this game a lot harder than I've hit any game for a long time.
Yeah, you've been playing pretty hard and heavy there for a little bit.
And I've backed it off, not only because I'm like, I'm playing too much, but my wife's like, you're playing a lot. And I went, yeah, sorry. But yeah, I'm still having fun. Still like to play it.
Yeah. It's a fun game. It's it's a time sink. It's a good distraction.
Part of it for us is we get to play together. It's
Yes.
a game that we currently own. We don't have to buy, and someone's going to buy it and say, hey, you should play this game, and we buy it, and that person doesn't play the game. I anymore have a lot more fun. Gaming is just the social media for me.
Mm-hmm.
To hang out with Joe, hang out with guys from the office. We sit and vent, mumble, whatever TeamSpeak we're using.
Like like we said last week, we're engineers, we're
Very
introverted, and this is our web chat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and not to say we're pasty white and come out of the dungeon every once a week. No, we're still outdoorsy folks, but we're still of an introverted gamer engineering lifestyle. It's not a bad thing.
Nope. No, it really isn't. It's just a fun thing to do when we're not out watching movies. Mm-hmm. Which, speaking of movies, I saw Deadpool on Thursday.
Yay!
And you're watching it tonight.
I'm watching it tonight, 11 o'clock.
So you got a few hours.
I'm gonna go home and play Diablo.
Play Diablo, awesome.
Well, the wife's doing a Mary Kay party tonight, so actually
on.
with your sister.
Yeah, my sister's place.
Can't wait to go see it. Thou shalt not spoil it.
I won't. I haven't said anything yet to spoil it. Besides that, I think that does it for this week.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Joe, and remember, if you can imagine it, you can print it.